Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive? Today we'll be exploring the new moon in Sagittarius, happening on December 1st. But first, I just have to give a huge shout out to Rositza Ivanova, the amazing woman behind the website, aura9001.com.
Oh, I love her work.
Right. Not only are her insights incredible, but you can access them in so many different languages. It's all thanks to that little green globe icon she's got on each page.
That's amazing. It really makes knowledge accessible to everyone, no matter where they are.
Exactly. And speaking of accessibility, we've got some really interesting articles and even a YouTube video from astrologer Heather Ensworth to guide us through this new moon. So let's get into it. First things first, can you remind us what makes a new moon so special? What is it about this lunar phase that has so many people talking about new beginnings?
Well, you can think of the new moon as a sort of cosmic reset button. It's the starting point of a whole new lunar cycle, a time when the energy is quiet, almost like a pause before the action begins.
Okay, so unlike the full moon, which is like a big bright climax, the new moon is more about introspection and potential.
Precisely. It's a time for reflection, for looking inward, for planting those seeds of intention that we want to see blossom later on.
I like that. So if the full moon is like a fireworks display, the new moon is that quiet moment just before the first spark ignites.
That's a perfect analogy. And with this particular new moon in Sagittarius, that spark is bound to be extra bright. Sagittarius brings an energy of adventure, of optimism, of seeking truth.
Ooh, that's exciting. So this new moon isn't just about planting seeds, it's about planting them in uncharted territory and seeing what kind of exotic blooms might emerge.
Exactly. This is a time to dream big, to push past our comfort zones, to have faith that the universe will support us as we venture into the unknown.
Especially as we wrap up 2024 and look ahead to the new year, that's a really energizing thought. Now, our sources talk about some specific themes for manifestation during this Sagittarius new moon: seeking truth, honest communication, connecting with nature, trusting our intuition.
And those themes are so in line with the adventurous, truth-seeking spirit of Sagittarius. It's a time to be real with ourselves, with others, to tune into that inner voice, and to seek experiences that truly nourish our souls.
It sounds almost like an invitation to go on a quest, both internally and externally. But our sources also mention some potential pitfalls, right? Something about overspending and impulsiveness, especially with the holidays right around the corner.
That's a good point. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, the planet of abundance and expansion. While Jupiter's influence can bring about a lot of generosity and creativity, it can also lead to overindulgence. And during this new moon, Jupiter is going to be opposing the moon, which could amplify those tendencies.
So a little budgeting wisdom and a dash of mindful spending wouldn't hurt.
Exactly. Embrace abundance, of course, but make conscious choices along the way.
Great advice. Now, our sources also talk about writing down intentions during the first 8 hours of the new moon. Is there a right way to do this? What's the secret sauce?
It's all about tapping into the new moon's potent energy. Write down up to 10 wishes, focusing on your personal goals and aspirations. But remember, it's about empowering ourselves, not trying to control or influence others.
So no wishing for lottery wins for our friends or instant fame for our favorite musicians.
Precisely. It's about manifesting our own desires in a way that serves our highest good and the well-being of the collective.
Speaking of the collective, Heather Ensworth, in her YouTube video, talks about Pluto's recent move into Aquarius and how this new moon acts as a guide for, well, seeding those new paradigms of the Aquarian age. Can you unpack that for us? It sounds pretty intense.
It is a major shift, that's for sure. Pluto's transit into Aquarius represents a significant change in collective consciousness. We're talking about a new era, one that emphasizes things like innovation, technology, social justice, a more humanitarian approach to life overall.
Wow.
And this new moon in Sagittarius, with its focus on truth, seeking, and pushing boundaries, it's giving us that cosmic nudge to align our intentions with these emerging Aquarian themes.
So it's like we're being handed a map for navigating this new territory, and this new moon is highlighting those first few steps.
Precisely. But the journey might not always be smooth sailing. Heather also points out a powerful T-square aspect involving the new moon, Jupiter, and Saturn. This suggests there might be some tension between that Sagittarian desire for adventure and the need for structure and responsibility, which Saturn represents.
Well, that makes sense. So it's a balancing act then. Finding that sweet spot between those seemingly opposing forces, learning to integrate them, not getting discouraged when things feel a bit rocky.
Exactly. And this is where Jupiter's influence comes in handy. Jupiter in Gemini is all about expanding our knowledge, our understanding, so seeking information, exploring different perspectives. That can really help us navigate those challenges.
So instead of getting overwhelmed, we can lean into curiosity. I like that. It makes me think of that analogy Heather uses about the caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. She talks about how messy and uncomfortable that process can be, but ultimately leads to something beautiful.
It's such a powerful image, isn't it? Just like the caterpillar dissolves into this seemingly chaotic soup inside the cocoon, we might also experience periods of uncertainty, maybe even upheaval, as we shed those old patterns and beliefs that are no longer serving us.
So even though it's not always pretty or comfortable, there's a bigger purpose unfolding beneath the surface.
Exactly. It's in those moments of surrender, of letting go, that true transformation occurs.
That's a really powerful image to hold on to. And it ties in beautifully with her discussion about the four healing centaurs being active during this new moon. Can you tell us a bit more about these centaurs and what they bring to the table?
Of course. In mythology, centaurs are these fascinating creatures, half human, half horse, representing that duality within us, the instinctual and the spiritual. And these four healing centaurs, Chiron, Nessus, Chariklo, and Pholus, they each have their own unique energy to support our healing journey.
Okay, I'm all ears. What are their specialties?
Well, we have Chiron in Aries, helping us heal our sense of self, overcome those limiting beliefs we might be carrying. Then there's Nessus in Pisces, who supports us in releasing ancestral wounds, those karmic patterns that might be holding us back.
Wow.
Then we have Chariklo in Aquarius, guiding us to find healing through community, through connection. And finally, there's Pholus in Capricorn, helping us integrate our shadow selves, step into our authentic power.
It sounds like we've got a whole cosmic support team cheering us on as we go through our own metamorphosis.
Absolutely. And speaking of cosmic support, Heather also mentioned the Sabian symbol for the 9 degrees of Sagittarius, which is the degree of this new moon.
Oh, right, the Sabian symbols. I always find those so fascinating. What does this one tell us about the energy of this lunar cycle?
Well, the Sabian symbol for 9 degrees of Sagittarius emphasizes community, self-discovery, and awakening hidden potential. It suggests that by actively engaging in our personal growth journey and by connecting with like-minded individuals, we can unlock new levels of awareness and truly tap into our potential.
So it's all about coming together, supporting each other's growth, which seems to resonate with the themes of community and collaboration we're seeing in the Aquarian age, right?
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we're not alone in this journey and that we can share our experiences and support one another.
That's so true. And before we wrap up this first part of our deep dive, I want to touch on something else. Heather mentioned the importance of visual astrology. Can you explain what that is and why she thinks it's so important?
Visual astrology is all about connecting with the actual positions of the celestial bodies in the sky rather than just working with astrological charts. Heather believes that when we observe the stars and planets directly, we can gain deeper, more nuanced insights into their energies and how they influence us.
So it's like taking astrology back to its roots, observing the sky like our ancestors did.
Exactly. And by doing so, we activate a different part of our brain, a more intuitive and imaginative part, which can lead to some really profound discoveries.
I'm already feeling inspired to do some stargazing.
I think that's a wonderful idea. There's something truly magical about connecting with the vastness of the cosmos and feeling our place within it.
Speaking of celestial bodies, Heather also mentions this new moon's conjunction with Antares, the royal star of the West, in the constellation of Scorpio.
Oh, yes, Antares.
It sounds pretty intense.
It is a powerful star associated with transmutation and transformation, and its conjunction with this new moon suggests that we might be dealing with some deep-seated emotions, maybe even some shadow aspects of ourselves that need to be addressed. So it's like this new moon is giving us a cosmic push to face those hidden parts of ourselves and transform them into something, well, something better.
Exactly. And remember, transformation isn't always pretty, right? I mean, facing our fears, letting go of those old habits and stepping into the unknown, but it's through those challenges that we really grow.
It's like that caterpillar in the cocoon, right? It has to go through that messy dissolving phase to become the butterfly.
Right. We have to trust that something beautiful is emerging, even if we can't see it yet. And we're not alone in this journey either, right? We've got the cosmos, those healing centaurs, and each other.
Exactly. We're all in this together. Now back to Antares for a moment. Is there anything else we should know about this royal star?
I'm all ears.
Well, one interesting fact is that Antares is a red supergiant star.
Oh, wow. What does that even mean?
It means it's nearing the end of its life cycle.
Okay, that sounds kind of ominous. Is it going to explode or something?
It will eventually, yeah,
A
but
big thing.
not for millions of years. And when it does, it'll create a supernova, this incredible burst of light that will illuminate the whole sky.
Wow, that's amazing. So is there a symbolic connection, do you think, between Antares' eventual supernova and our own transformation during this new moon?
That's a great question. I think there's definitely a parallel there. Just like Antares will release a tremendous amount of energy when it goes supernova, we too can experience a powerful release when we let go of those old patterns and embrace our true selves.
So this new moon is all about embracing change, facing our shadows head on, and allowing ourselves to transform into the best versions of ourselves, right?
Absolutely. And it's about aligning with the energy of this new era, the Aquarian age, which is all about innovation, collaboration, and creating a more just and equitable world.
So how do we do that? How do we practically align ourselves with that Aquarian energy?
Well, it starts with awareness, becoming more aware of our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions. Are we operating from a place of fear or a place of love? Are we contributing to the well-being of the collective? Or are we perpetuating harmful systems?
So it's about becoming more conscious, more intentional with our choices.
Exactly. And it's about being willing to challenge the status quo, to question things, to stand up for what we believe in.
That sounds a lot like the energy of Sagittarius, too, always seeking truth and justice.
Absolutely. And remember, we've got Jupiter and Gemini supporting us in this process of expanding our knowledge and understanding. It's encouraging us to be curious, to ask questions, to seek out different perspectives.
So we shouldn't just accept things as they are or blindly follow what we've been told.
Exactly. This new moon is all about breaking free from limitations, challenging assumptions, and creating a reality that's more aligned with our values, our highest vision for ourselves and the world.
I love that. Now, Heather also mentioned Jupiter and Saturn's positions in the sky and how they relate to that T-square aspect we discussed earlier. Can you tell us more about their roles in all of this?
Sure, so Jupiter is in Gemini in the stars of Taurus, which encourages us to integrate our spiritual understanding with our practical lives. It's about finding that balance between our dreams and our earthly responsibilities.
So not just getting lost in spiritual concepts, but actually grounding those insights into real-world action.
Precisely. And then we have Saturn in Pisces in the stars of Aquarius, reminding us that transformation requires discipline, commitment, a willingness to work through the challenges. It's not going to happen overnight, but with effort, we can create lasting change.
So Jupiter provides the inspiration, the big picture, and Saturn provides the structure, the follow-through.
That's a great way to put it. They work together to help us manifest our intentions in a way that's grounded and sustainable.
I like that. Now, I know we've been talking a lot about the transformative potential of this new moon, but I'm curious about something Heather mentioned earlier about the actual constellations in the sky being different from the traditional astrological signs. Can you explain that a bit more?
Sure. So the astrological signs we usually talk about are based on the tropical zodiac, which divides the sky into 12 equal segments, starting from the vernal equinox. But because of a phenomenon called precession, the Earth's axis wobbles a bit over time, causing the constellations to shift in relation to the equinoxes.
So the constellations we see in the sky don't actually line up perfectly with the astrological signs.
Exactly. Over thousands of years, this shift has become quite significant. For example, the constellation of Sagittarius is actually located about 24 degrees behind the sign of Sagittarius in the tropical zodiac.
Wow, that's a pretty big difference. So what does that mean for how we interpret astrology?
Well, some astrologers believe we need to factor in this precession and work with the actual positions of the constellations, not just those fixed signs of the tropical zodiac. This approach is called sidereal astrology.
So it's like we're refining our understanding of the cosmos based on the actual placement of the stars, right?
Exactly. And Heather believes that this recalibration can lead to even deeper, more accurate insights into our personal and collective journeys.
That's fascinating. And how does visual astrology, which we talked about earlier, fit into all of this?
Well, visual astrology encourages us to connect with the sky directly, to observe those constellations and planets for ourselves. By doing so, we can develop a more intuitive understanding of their energies and how they relate to our lives.
So it's about becoming more aware of the cosmos and our place within it.
Precisely. It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of everything. We're all part of this incredible web of life, and when we acknowledge that, we can tap into a source of power and wisdom that's far greater than ourselves.
That's a beautiful thought. This conversation has been truly mind-expanding. Before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, I want to highlight one more thing Heather mentioned in her video. She said that the energy of the Sagittarius new moon is almost like, well, she compared it to a caterpillar not knowing it's about to become a butterfly.
Oh, I love that analogy. Yeah, it's a really powerful image, isn't it? It speaks to that element of surrender, of trust in the process, even when we don't know exactly what's on the other side.
Exactly. Like, we might not be able to picture our butterfly just yet,
Yeah.
but we have to trust that this new moon has the potential to transform us into something incredible.
Absolutely. And I think it's so important to remember that the wisdom, the guidance we need, it's already within us, just like the caterpillar's DNA holds the blueprint for the butterfly. We just have to let go of those old forms, those limiting beliefs, and embrace the unknown.
It's fascinating, right? Like, the caterpillar doesn't consciously decide to transform. It just happens naturally as part of its life cycle. Maybe our transformation is more of an unfolding too, not something we have to force or control.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's about surrendering to the rhythms of life, trusting that we're being guided towards our highest potential.
And with Pluto moving into Aquarius, it feels like this larger cosmic shift is supporting our individual transformations too. It's all connected.
It is. As we move into this Aquarian age, we're being called to embrace change, innovation, and a more interconnected way of being. This new moon in Sagittarius, it's like an invitation to align with that new energy, to become active participants in this collective evolution.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. Everything from the basics of new moons to the influence of Sagittarius and Pluto in Aquarius, those healing centaurs, that T-square aspect, even visual astrology. What are some of the key takeaways you'd like our listeners to remember as we approach this powerful new moon on December 1st?
Well, first and foremost, remember that this new moon is a time to set those intentions, the ones that align with your soul's deepest desires and resonate with the energy of the Aquarian age. Dream big, embrace those adventures, trust that inner voice.
And don't forget those practical tips too. Write down those intentions within the first 8 hours of the new moon and maybe keep an eye on that holiday spending.
Absolutely. And remember, transformation is a process. It might not always feel good, it might get messy, but those challenges are opportunities for growth. Be patient with yourself, trust the journey.
And remember, you're not alone. We can support each other, heal together, and co-create a new world that reflects our highest values.
Beautifully said. And finally, I encourage everyone to connect with the sky. Get out there, observe those stars and planets, feel their energy. Remember that we are all part of something much greater than ourselves.
This deep dive has been so inspiring. As we head into this Sagittarius new moon, I encourage you, our listeners, to embrace that transformative energy. Step into your power, connect with your intuition, trust that you have everything you need to create the life of your dreams. And as we move into the Aquarian age, how can we actively participate in that metamorphosis, both within ourselves and in the world around us? That's something to ponder as we enter this new lunar cycle. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone.
Until next time, may your journey be filled with wonder and transformation.